You thought their silence was indifference, their laughter harmless mockery, their turning away just bad timing. Wrong. Every time they dismissed you, every time they rolled their eyes, cut you off, excluded you, they weren't rejecting you. They were releasing you. And that is the riddle you were too afraid to solve. So tell me, when did you finally realize their disrespect wasn't your failure, but your freedom? You see, society teaches you to crave approval, to polish your edges, mute your truth, shrink your voice, all to fit inside their tiny, fragile boxes of acceptable. But here's the paradox they won't admit. Respect is often conditional loyalty. They respect you only as long as you don't disrupt their illusion of control, as long as you don't ask the inconvenient question, as long as you stay in your lane. Disrespect, then, real, raw, unapologetic dismissal, is the system breaking down. It's not a verdict on your worth, it's a diagnostic, a flashing red light on the dashboard of your life. Warning, this relationship, role, or environment is incompatible with your evolution. Most people panic. They double down, pleading, performing, editing themselves into oblivion. But the liberated, they lean in, they study the malfunction, they ask, what is this rejection trying to protect me from? Think of it like gravity. A bird doesn't curse the ground for pulling it down. It uses that force to push off. Disrespect is your ground. The very thing that seems to hold you back becomes the launch pad if you stop fighting it and start understanding it. Every "you're too much" hides a truth. They're too little. Every "you don't belong" whispers, you've outgrown this cage. And here's the riddle I leave you with for now. Why do so many people spend years trying to force open a door that someone else already locked, instead of turning around and building their own damn house? They didn't yell, they didn't argue, they just stopped seeing you, your ideas, met with silence, your growth unnoticed, your pain unacknowledged. That's not neglect, that's erasure. And erasure is the most violent form of control. It tells you you do not matter enough to even be opposed. But here's the secret they never intended to give you. Indifference is the purest form of space. No noise, no manipulation, no performance required, just void. And void is where creation begins. When no one is watching, you stop playing for an audience. When no one is praising, you stop outsourcing your validation. When no one is punishing, you stop living in fear of consequences that no longer exist. That's silence. That's not abandonment. That's autonomy knocking. You're not invisible, you're unobserved, and in that unobserved state, you finally dare to move authentically. Watch what happens when you stop feeding the myth that love must be earned through compliance. You start trusting your instincts, not because they're flawless, but because they're yours. You speak slower, choose fewer words, but each one lands like a stone in still water. You begin to notice the people who truly see you don't demand proof. You don't have to audition for their attention. The rest? They were never in the theater. They were just passing by, glancing at the marquee, and walking on. And now the riddle deepens. If being ignored freed you from performance, if being excluded freed you from pretense, then tell me, what loss are you still mourning? That was actually your first true win. They called it rejection, but rejection has a recipient. What they gave you had no address, no return policy, no hope of reconciliation. That wasn't rejection. That was expulsion from a lie. And expulsion is the first legal document of your sovereignty. You think liberation feels like fireworks? No. It feels like silence after a storm, so deep you hear your own pulse for the first time. It's the moment you stop rehearsing apologies in the mirror and start listening, really listening to the voice that's been buried under decades of should I, could I, am I enough? That voice doesn't ask permission anymore. It declares. This is how the protocol runs, not in steps, but in shifts. The shift from why don't they see me to what if I no longer need them to? The shift from I must fix this relationship to I must honor what it cost me to keep it alive. The shift from I was discarded to I was selected by life for something they couldn't contain. You weren't abandoned. You were spared. Spared the slow death of compromise. Spared the erosion of your boundaries by hands that only knew how to take. Spared the agony of loving people whose capacity ended where your truth began. And now, here is the true riddle. What if every door slammed in your face wasn't a stop sign, but a hand finally gently turning you toward the path only you could walk? You've spent years wearing masks, not because you wanted to, but because the world demanded it. The mask of patience, the mask of I'm fine, the mask of I'll wait my turn. But time, my dear survivor, doesn't owe anyone a second act, unless you steal it back. Their disrespect didn't shrink you. It exposed the scaffolding of a life built to please ghosts. And now, here you stand. Older, yes. Wiser, only if you choose to trust what the years have etched into your bones. You don't need permission to be real. You don't need applause to be right. You don't need a seat at their table when you can build your own feast. This isn't about revenge. It's about reverence for the self you almost abandoned to keep the peace. The peace was never peaceful. It was just quiet. And silence, when mistaken for safety, is the most dangerous prison of all. You've spent years wearing masks, not because you wanted to, but because the world demanded it. The mask of patience, the mask of I'm fine, the mask of I'll wait my turn. But time, my dear survivor, doesn't owe anyone a second act, unless you steal it back. Their disrespect didn't shrink you. It exposed the scaffolding of a life built to please ghosts. And now, here you stand. Older, yes. Wiser, only if you choose to trust what the years have etched into your bones. You don't need permission to be real. You don't need applause to be right. You don't need a seat at their table when you can build your own feast. This isn't about revenge. It's about reverence for the self you almost abandoned to keep the peace. The peace was never peaceful. It was just quiet. And silence, when mistaken for safety, is the most dangerous prison of all.